Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. There's brand new music from Night Ranger. It's called Breakout from their upcoming album called ATBPO, which stands for And the Band Played On. And with us today,
stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff. We want to welcome in Night Ranger guitarist Brad Gillis to the show. Welcome to the show, Brad.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Brad, this is quite the honor having you on the show. We've both been big fans for a long time, and with this being the 13th Night Ranger album, I can't believe it. Do you still get the same feeling when you're approaching the release of a new project that you did back when you were doing Dawn Patrol?
Yeah, everybody still gets that excitement. And I'll tell you what's going on with that. The hardest part for everybody is actually finishing a record and having to wait that 3 months before they release it. It's like you want all your friends to hear it and, and fans and everybody, but you got to sit back and wait, 3 months for the release. But it'll be actually 1 month from today when it comes out.
Nice. Can't wait to hear the whole thing. I'm digging the 2 singles. And one thing, being a guitar player, when I listen to Night Ranger, I'm listening for guitar solos. And every time my mouth hits the floor, it sounds like you guys, do you spend a lot of time constructing your solos, or do you just go in there and just let it go?
Well, I have a few different approach ideas that I do. One of them is just listening to the area that whole 8/16 bars or whatever it's going to be to put my solo, and sometimes I just hum melodies in my head, and I'm all about melodies. There's nothing worse than hearing this guitar solo that's just all over the place, and when you get done, you can't. There's no melody that sticks in your head. Of course, everybody loves the dexterity of a great guitar player burning and doing killer licks, but I approach things differently with melodies, and then I try to throw a little whammy bar in there, and then a little bit of a rip in here and there. But it's different for every song. But a lot of times I'll just come up with a melody in my head and just go from there.
Okay. Now, Brad, next year in 2022 is the 40th anniversary of the release of Dawn Patrol. In those
that long?
Yeah. In those 40 years, the music industry has made a lot of changes. But in seeing the band live back in 2019, when you guys were out with Dennis D. Young, you guys still look like you're having a lot of fun. Like with the first time I saw you in 1985, do you still get that same rush from the crowd?
Oh yeah, it's just still fun. And the thing is, this is what I was born to do. I got my first guitar when I was 8 years old. My dad wanted me to take lessons. I started taking lessons. I didn't want to learn Mary Had a Little Lamb. So a friend of my brother's came over and said, Brad, just listen to the radio, man. Try to pick everything up by ear. So I learned by ear. That's how I was able to learn things fast whenever I heard it. So as far as playing live, there's nothing better than playing these hits from Night Ranger's past and having everybody sing along, with your Sister Christians, Don't Tell Me Lovies, and Still Rockin' Americas, even the Sentimental Streets and Goodbye. And so it's always a blast to play live. And, the hardest part these days is the travel. We just did the big M3 festival out in Baltimore, Columbia, Maryland, this last weekend. 3 bands, 3 days with 10 bands a day, and we headlined the third day, Sunday night, for 4th of July. And, I don't know, 8, 10, 12,000 people. I don't know. It was packed, but that was a blast because everybody was been shut down for 16 months, and we've had a couple shows here and there, but this was the big one to kind of get back into it. We didn't even have time to go in, no sound check or anything.
No, man.
Because we wanted to play Breakout. We wanted to play Bring It On Home. But, we wanted to actually rehearse it with a band first. But we didn't have that chance. So, coming up, these 3 shows we have this weekend, we have sound checks. We're going to try to go in and learn a couple new songs and add those into the set. But our set list has always been fun because we play the Night Ranger hits, and then some of the eclectic B-sides, but are popular with our mainstream core fans. And then we do a couple Damn Yankees tunes. Jack did a stint with Tommy and Ted Nugent, doing Damn Yankees. So we throw a couple of those in, and my stint with Ozzy, we'll throw maybe Crazy Train in there.
Nice.
Kerry Kelly, our the guitar player, he had a stint with Alice Cooper for 8 years, something like that. So we throw schools out in there sometimes. So,
nice.
it's all about, taking care of the fans. And, the last thing you want to do is go too deep with tracks and deer in the headlights from the audience,
Exactly.
So we try to keep them on their toes.
So which of the new songs are you most looking forward to playing live in front of an audience to get their reactions?
Well, we don't do too many new ones because the record's not even out yet, but we will do the 2 single videos that have been released, which is
awesome.
Bring It On Home and Breakout. So those are the 2 we're going to learn coming up, and hopefully start popping those into the set real soon. But I tell you, man, that Breakout is a barn burner for us, and we're real excited about playing that one live.
Now, you and Jack Blade started playing together around 1978. If correct me if I'm wrong there. How do you guys create or keep that creative hunger and personal chemistry going with a musical partner that you've had for that many years?
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of humor in the band, and that's what keeps everybody laughing. We keep the egos down and just have fun. Laughing, joking. Looking forward to that show that night, and at my age, I enjoy getting to that hotel and taking a swim and going for a long walk just to blow everything out and get my brain moving. So we're kind of on this cool, fun regiment on the road. Everybody just tries to keep it all together, have fun, joke around, and when we get on stage, we throw it down. And that's one thing about this band. There's never been a loss of energy playing live. And as long as we got that, the machine will keep rolling.
Awesome. Now, one of the toughest gigs I've ever heard of somebody having to step into was taking over for Randy Rhoads after the plane crash. And I know Bernie Torm went in and did a few gigs, but then you had to take over. And, dude, what was that? How'd you get that gig? And were you familiar with Ozzy's 2 albums before that, or did you have to really sit there and cram all that in and try to learn those songs? Because those aren't easy songs.
Well, that could be attributed to me learning by ear.
Mm-hmm.
That's so much to do with that. And I'll make a look. I could talk for hours about the whole situation, how it happened, but I'll try to give you clip notes and everything, and try to I'll try to make a long story fairly short.
Okay.
But in 1980, when we got the band together, we were still Ranger. We finished our demo. We were trying to shop it around here in the San Francisco Bay Area, but nobody really knew who we were. So I started a band called I grew up in Alameda, California, which is near Oakland, San Francisco. I started a band called the Alameda All-Stars just to play around clubs around the Bay Area. So I started playing these. We started playing these 4 clubs religiously every weekend, 2 weekends, or whatever, just to keep busy, keep my chops up. But in 1981, I went to the Day on the Green in Oakland, California, which is a huge stadium gig, and saw Ozzy play with Randy for the first time.
Oh,
and everybody was touting Randy as the next Eddie Van Halen. Got to go see this guy, and so I went and saw that show, and I was blown away. So we ended up throwing a couple, with the All Stars a little later on. Started throwing Crazy Train and a couple other ones on the set, just playing around, having fun, because it was fun to play on guitar, and the audience would know the songs of being on the radio. Flying High Again, that was the other one. Yeah. And so I remember I had my truck, all my equipment. I was heading from Alameda up to the Oakland Hills to play this club gig, and I hear on the radio that Randy died in this plane crash. And it freaked me out. I pulled over my truck, and I was like, oh, my God. My father was a pilot for 40 years.
Oh.
He ended up on 747s. He was, flew for 20 years in the Navy and 20 years commercial after that. But he had a private pilot's license, and we used to fly Cessnas together. So to hear about this plane crash in the Cessna, it kind of hit home, wow. So, basically going up and doing the gig, there's, talk about, who's going to replace Randy. And there's a guy there named Preston Thrall. He saw me to say, hey, man, I could possibly maybe get you an audition with the band. It's like, yeah, right. The biggest gig in the world to have, playing with Ozzy Osbourne right at that time. And, but Preston Thrall was brothers to Pat Thrall. Pat Thrall, guitar player that played with Pat Travers and Meatloaf, right?
Okay.
Preston called his brother Pat. Pat called Tommy Aldridge, who was playing with Ozzy at the time, and Ozzy told Sharon. So, that Friday night whatever we played the gig, and Preston said, possibly get the gig. Early Sunday morning, after playing that Saturday night and being up really late, I get this call at 8 a.m. from this lady on the phone going, "Hello, Bradley. This is Sharon Arden, Ozzy Osbourne's manager. We'd like to fly you to New York for an audition." And I'm like, "All right." This is what I said to Sharon. I go, "All right, quit screwing with me. You screwing with me?" And I thought somebody was, knew I might be over the gig or trying to screw with me. Yeah. And she goes, "No, Bradley, let me put Ozzy on the phone." I said, "Yeah, put Ozzy on the phone, all right?" Then I heard this, "Hello, Bradley, this is Ozzy. I want you to get a pen and paper and write down these songs." Now, my father, who was a pilot, when he would be, they were in New York. When he would call back from New York, there was a delay in the phone back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. You could hear the slight delay. And I heard that delay. And it was like, when your face turns white, you feel like you're going to faint. It's like, oh my gosh, it's Ozzy on the phone, right? Oh, man. So basically, I, got that pen and paper and wrote down these, I think it was 18 songs. I said, "Ozzy, I only know, a couple of them." He said, "You'll learn them, right?" I said, "Of course I will," Yes, so we hung up on that Sunday morning. I went out and got, the albums I had. Of course, it was albums back then. Mm-hmm. Got the albums I had with Ozzy and Sabbath, and a few friends of mine brought over a couple of their albums that I didn't have to learn these songs. And I was only able to practice Sunday afternoon and Monday. And sure enough, Tuesday morning, I got a direct flight from SFO, San Francisco, to New York. Right? Wow. So, here I go, $150 in my pocket, no credit card. I fly to New York, and that night they were playing New York with Bernie at Madison Square Gardens, right? Whoa. I would love to have done that gig. But anyway, when I got to the hotel about 11 o'clock at night, they were still at the gig, and I tried to check into the Helmsley Palace, the big hotel in Manhattan there where the band was staying. I went in and I said, "Yeah, room for Brad-Gillis." And they said, "Sorry, we don't have a reservation." I said, "Ozzy Osbourne party?" "Nope." Larry McNeely party, which was the road manager. "Nope, we got nothing." I said, "How much is the room?" They said $150. And I said, "Okay." I gave him, no, I'm sorry. It was $135. I had $150 on me. So I paid for the room, went to my room. Here I am, no credit card, $15 cash in my pocket. They all got back to the hotel about an hour later, around midnight. I get a call from Larry. He says, "Hey, I want you to come up and meet Ozzy and Sharon." Boy, here we go, So I walked upstairs, big, huge suite, double doors, a lot of music and commotion going on, banged on the door, and Larry opened the door. He goes, "Brad, you got in? Okay, great to see you, man. Everything good?" I said, "Larry, there wasn't a room under my name, and I paid for it, and I got $15 in my pocket left." And he whips out 5 $100 bills and slaps them in my hand. He goes, "Is this okay?" I go, "That'll work." He goes, "Come and meet Sharon and Ozzy." I said, "Okay." And I said, "Larry, there's a bunch of guys around here, long-haired guys in their 20s, kind of like me at the time." I said, "How many of these guys are auditioning?" He goes, "Oh, no, it's just you, man. It's just you. If you can't cut it, I guess we'll send you back home." It's like, oh, no pressure there.
Oh, man, really?
So I went and met Sharon. "Oh, Bradley, nice to meet you, and come meet Ozzy." I looked down again. She goes, "Ozzy, this is Bradley Gillis, he's auditioning you for the band." And Ozzy looks up at me and goes, "Go get your guitar." Okay. I go, I don't have an amp. "Go get your guitar, Bradley." Okay. I ran downstairs. I didn't even take the elevator. Ran down and got my 62 Red Strat, the one I always play. Brought it up, and there's like 50 people hanging out in this hotel room, and this big, huge stairwell going up top to the master bedroom, and Ozzy and I start walking up the stairs, and it got real quiet. I looked around, and everybody's staring at me like, oh my gosh, this is the big audition, right? So I go up, and I sit at the end of the bed. Ozzy sits in front of me on the ground, kneeling on the ground, looks at me and goes, "What do you want to play?" I go, "I could do Flying High again." So imagine sitting with your guitar, no amp, strumming away, Ozzy looking up to me and going, "Oh no, here we go now. I got a crazy little," singing the song, right? It's like, wow, okay.
Wow.
Wish I had a video.